Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today, I'm joined by FPL Heisenberg to preview Game Week 3. This is the week, Wes. This is what it comes down to. This is where decisions have to be made. A lot of managers rolled their transfer last week, as you did. So now it's crunch time. I want to hear your thoughts on Game Week 2, first of all, but then I'm very interested to see what you're going to be doing with your two transfers. First of all, how was Game Week 2?
Bit average. Started off pretty well with Mbremo doing well and a Stupinian. Apart from that, they kind of carried my team. Watkins got an assist. So yeah, disappointing because I think the blanks all then came from the Man United players on the Saturday or the Sunday night. I think maybe Sunday, wasn't it? Can't remember now. And then the Arsenal, had high hopes for my Arsenal triple up, but they all blank. Saka gave away his penalty. Gabriel was benched. Gabriel got subbed on for Martinelli. So yeah, mixed bag. Sort of on the disappointing side, but not too bad.
I think your team is an interesting one. Gabriel in there. So interested as a Gabriel owner to get your thoughts on him. We'll come to that. The thing with Gabriel is that I think from an outside perspective, as someone that doesn't own him, you can say, okay, the next fixture is really good. He does well against Fulham historically, may come back into the team. But I think you have a unique perspective as a Gabriel owner who's been burnt by those first two games, those sub appearances. You may have a different sort of idea of where you want to go with your transfers. Before I hear your thoughts, Wes, first of all, I want to have a look at the AI's recommended transfers for your team. We're going to have a look at those first, and then later on, see how your thoughts are, whether they're the same, similar, or completely different to what Fantasy Football Hub's AI is recommending for your side. So let's get into that right now. Okay, mate, so here are your transfers, your recommended transfers on screen. Now, guys, Wes can't see this, but me and you, the viewers, can. It's going to be interesting to see what differences Wes has to these. It's recommending two transfers to you, Wes. Now, obviously, you don't have to do these, but food for thought. And off the bat, I understand them and I quite like them. I'm not going to give you anything else apart from that.
Okay.
But yeah, remember these, and we're going to come back later in the vid and see if Wes has the same sort of ideas as the AI. Guys, if you would like your own personal recommended AI transfers, the link to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub is down below. It's still 50% off. And as I said in the intro, I think this is the crunch time. This is where we can really utilize these tools and get an idea as to what transfers may be good from a statistical algorithmic perspective, give you something to think about. Okay, let's get into Wes's plans for the upcoming game week. All right, mate, here's the team. Talk to me. You have definitely some selection headaches here. Let's go to the player that I mentioned, Gabriel. What are your thoughts there off the bat?
With Gabriel, it's a difficult one because when the team lineup got announced for the Palace game, I said on WhatsApp, I'm going to be selling Gabriel unless there's an injury or a red card to one of the Arsenal defenders. It was a 100% sell if that scenario didn't happen. Then Tomiyasu gets sent off. So now it's not a 100% hold because of that, but it now makes me think a bit more about it because obviously Timber's out injured. Tomiyasu's going to miss one game. Zinchenko is now back from his injury because he played a couple of minutes at the end of the game. If Zinchenko's ready to start and invert into midfield, then Partey probably won't invert from right back. Arsenal's defense is so complicated this year, but yeah, Zinchenko plays left back. That's good. Gabriel can be, and Saliba can be the centre backs, and Ben White can be the more traditional right back. Those two would make a back three and Zinchenko can join the midfield, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's now a possibility. Kivior, I think is how you say it, could obviously come in and just replace Tomiyasu like for like. So I don't know. Like I said, I could still sell him, but he's gone from 100% definitely sell to back to 50-50. Long term, obviously, I don't want him anyway. So if I do have to sell him, it's not the end of the world. But Fulham at home is a juicy fixture if you can get him on the pitch for that one. So I don't know. Maybe Arteta will be asked about him. I don't think he'll give much away either way. So yeah, I don't know. But Tomiyasu's red card does throw a spanner in the works.
If Kivior does come into the team, and we saw at the end of last season when they had injuries in defence as well, notably Saliba was the one that was out. He was playing. I think that would just completely kill Gabriel, probably his career at Arsenal, to be honest. That I think would suggest that there has been something outside of the tactical sort of nuances that we think are going on there. Just chat to me about this, right? Tomiyasu, why is Tomiyasu, do you think, in the team ahead of Gabriel anyway? Why has he started against Palace and Gabriel hasn't started?
I'm guessing Tomiyasu's more better at playing the full-back role. Obviously, he can play right-back role, so he's obviously moved over to left-back. And I guess Arteta doesn't trust Gabriel unless he's one of the centre-backs. But with obviously with Partey inverting from right-back and then Ben White being a right centre-back that sort of is the right of the three in possession, there's just less space in the team for Gabriel. So yeah, I guess it's Gabriel's lack of versatility compared to the other defenders who seem to be more versatile. or with Saliba just being that main centre back. But yeah, it's been a really frustrating one because pre-season, I looked into both of them. There was the same price. Gabriel had the greater goal threat. Gabriel potentially looked more durable, less of an injury risk as well, because obviously Saliba did get injured last season. Gabriel hasn't been injured for a couple of seasons. So the opposite to an injury-prone player, the opposite to a rotation risk player. But the likes of Havertz and Rice signing and Arteta still wanting the likes of Partey in the team, and it seems like an extra attacking player on the team. But yeah, I'm just hopeful that Zinchenko at left back, then inverting in, Gabriel can be the left centre back in possession. I think it will be. But yeah, it's a really tricky one. Maybe it's not worth the headache. If I was on, say, a wild card, for example, then Gabriel would of course be gone very simply. But I'm not on a wild card and I've only got 2 free transfers. I want to use them wisely. And if Gabriel is going to start against Fulham, I don't want to transfer him out. I'd rather be looking at the likes of bringing Foden in or whatever else. So yeah, it's really, really difficult, that decision.
Yeah, I think in your team especially because if we look at the rest of your defense, Chilwell, Estupiñán obviously very solid. But then after that, because of Bulldog's injury now as well, right now you've got Kabore who if Gabriel is out, is the only other defender that you have. Will you be looking then? Let's get to it. Are you looking to make a defender transfer this week?
It all depends on how I feel about Gabriel. I thought about doing one last week. I thought about the likes of Gusto from Chelsea, who would have got a 1-pointer anyway, same as Gabriel. I thought about Rico Henry / Pinnock from Brentford, who would have obviously scored better. So yeah, I guess there's an argument to sort of upgrade one of the bench sort of defenders, but equally those bench defenders are actually less of a priority transfer out than Gabriel, because Gabriel's obviously more expensive and a rotation risk. So yeah, I'm happy enough with my cheap defenders, as weird as it sounds, even though they're poor. I haven't even needed them with Gabriel being out because he's been subbed on twice. So it would have actually been quite frustrating to have a really good bench option and not actually get them on the pitch. And a few people got blocked off of a clean sheet from Udogie from Spurs. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, Gabriel's on the chopping block at some point. I can't trust him long term, but I also fancy some midfielders this week and forwards. Basically, just to summarise, the 3 teams I'm looking at, I did a thread for my Twitter account about this, is Brentford have got great fixtures over the next 5. Man City have and Chelsea have. I'm really tempted by Foden. If I was to get a defender, it would probably be Gusto at 4 million, who looks to have narrowed down that right wing back slot. Or like I said, Brentford have got good fixtures, so it would be Henry / Pinnock. From City would be a bit more difficult. I can't really say it. Guardiol, maybe, or maybe a Kanji. I hate City defenders because
City defense is tough.
They're quite frustrating, and they don't really get that many attacking returns. So at least with the ones I did initially have, obviously Estupiñán, Chilwell, great attacking threat. Gabriel, in theory, has great attacking threat from corners. But yeah, the City boys, when John Stones is out, yes, you're quite likely to get a 6-pointer, which is obviously decent. But yeah, I don't know, Gusto and the likes of Henry and Pinnock actually free up some money from Gabriel as well. So that's not that I need the money right now, but it's always good to have that money in the bank should you need it in the future.
So I'm going to press you on this because, say the deadline was in 10 minutes. What are you doing with Gabriel? There's no reason as to why we may get more news. Yes, we may, but in the event that we don't get more news, Arteta doesn't mention it in the press conference. We've seen multiple times in the past where us as an FPL community are demanding an answer from a press conference in terms of team selection. Journalists don't really care. I mean, some of them do, but a lot of them don't about us as an FPL community. They don't ask that question. So say we get no news. Right now, put you on the spot. Is Gabriel staying or going?
I'll say staying because, I'm less waiting for news from Arteta, more I'm giving myself thinking time to decide on what I want to do. But yeah, to push for an answer, I'll say hold for right now because of Tomiyasu's suspension. Do think there's a strong chance of Gabriel coming in. Like you said, if Kivior comes in and Gabriel misses out again, then there seems to be something going on. I don't think there is something going on because Gabriel's been subbed on both in the last 2 games. And when he did get subbed on against Palace, he was celebrating. He did some good piece of defending to shepherd the ball out. He was celebrating that like a goal with his teammates. At the end of the game, he was going crazy celebrating. So I think he's on board at Arsenal. I don't really believe the Saudi rumours have any merit to them, really. So I think there's a strong chance of him coming back in. So for the purpose of this video, I will say hold Gabriel right now.
I agree. I do think it's completely tactical. And Arteta's comments as well, saying that he's going to play an extremely important role this season and in the future. They've said he's just not up for sale at all, not even set a price. The likes of Saudi or even Real Madrid have apparently been rumoured to be interested.
Yeah.
And the fact that he played 70 games in a row or something like that, across the past 2 seasons, as you mentioned. It's a strange one and we couldn't have predicted it, but that, I guess, is the nature of FPL. And for owners like you, it's a tough spot. Right, let's move on. You mentioned Foden. I want to hear your thoughts about United midfielders.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because they had 3 good fixtures to start the season. Gameweek 1 was against Wolves, who we all thought was going to be easy pickings. Brighton obviously tore them apart in Gameweek 2, but Obviously, United didn't really tear them apart. And then even the Spurs game, I was looking at that thinking, I don't really want a United defender in this one, but I'm more than happy to have Bruno and Rashford because Spurs are playing this such attacking, open play game that there's going to be chances. And there were chances for both Rashford and Bruno. Bruno had an easy header he
Ugh,
missed. Rashford missed a relatively easy header that he was just offside with. Other chances as well. I think Bruno would have got the assist for the Anthony one that hit the post, stuff like that. So
he would have done, yeah.
as poor as I think United have been as a team from an FPL point of view, Bruno in particular has been dodging FPL points and actually creating stuff and could have got returns. So I'm not in a rush to sell them because it's Forest at home. I guess Forest at home this year needs to be looked at as a slightly harder fixture than last year. Forest were scrapping for relegation, a bottom six side last year. Maybe they'll be a bit more comfortable this year. Maybe they'll finish in between 11th and 14th. So a little bit not as easy as a fixture. Still a good fixture though. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really torn. I do see the merit in holding them, but I also, like I've already said, I really want Foden. A couple of 6.5 million midfielders that are really tempting me that I'm probably going to have to go without. The Brighton boys, don't think I'll be able to squeeze them in. But yeah, I am potentially thinking about Rashford to Foden. But it's one of those where it is a real tough, real horrible decision because you are taking out a player before Forest at home. And if they do well, if they score, you can't claim I was unlucky because I have chosen to take out a proven FPL asset like Rashford before a fixture like Forest at home. So I run that risk myself. But equally, I would be getting an asset who has Sheffield United away, Fulham at home, West Ham away, Forest home, Wolves away. So 5 solid fixtures. Whereas
Yeah.
with Man United, they do face Arsenal away in the following week and then Brighton at home. So you're kind of jumping off before those 2 more trickier fixtures. So I think that Rashford to Foden has some merit and just run the gauntlet of Rashford punishing that move, I think.
I completely agree with all that logic. It's something that I've been weighing up myself. You know, in isolation, yes, Forest at home is a great game. But as you just mentioned there, the fixtures after that, can you really see yourself holding on to both Man United midfielders? Do you want 2 midfielders for that run? Arsenal away, Brighton at home? I don't. Despite the fact that they are great options, I know they haven't done well the first 2 game weeks. I don't want 2 Man United players, whatever happens really, for Arsenal away and Brighton at home. 2 of the form teams right now. You know, Arsenal, haven't looked amazing, but they're not conceding goals.
Yeah.
Arsenal away is definitely one of the toughest fixtures for an attacker. And then you compare it to a player that you just mentioned, Foden. Yeah, Sheffield United away, great fixture. But then after that, Fulham at home, West Ham away, Forest at home, Wolves away. It's amazing. So even if the move doesn't necessarily come off this week, Rashford to Foden, say Rashford even outscores Foden, I don't personally see it, but of course it could happen. I guess it comes down to your own thoughts on Foden's minutes going forward. What do you think there? Just sign Doku, some competition for the right wing slot, which will have ramifications for midfield. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not worried too much about the new signing. I think he's a youngster. I think I don't know too much about him, but there was a lot of his appearances last year was substitute appearances. I can't see Pep throwing him in straight away. And I'm hoping, even if he does play in one of those wing positions, I'm hoping that affects someone else, maybe an Alvarez rather than, I know Alvarez doesn't necessarily play that wide, but Foden was obviously very central against Newcastle, played amazingly in those pockets. So good. He got the 3 bonus with just the 1 assist because he created so many chances.
I think it was 7 key passes.
Yeah. So if you had Foden, you actually are coming away with 9 points. You're happy with that 9 points, but you're actually a little bit gutted that it wasn't more.
Yeah.
I'm personally gutted I didn't stick with Foden pre-season. The Community Shield gave me cold feet, and I just thought, you know what, I don't want to own an asset who might get rotated. And he didn't even start the Community Shield with. But then obviously Gameweek 1, 30 minutes in, De Bruyne gets injured, Bernardo Silva sick last week or whatever it was. So yes, I'm the most confident in Foden's minutes as of right now than I've ever been because he's over his injury problems. He's on scintillating form as per last match, playing central, and Mahrez has left the club, Gundogan's left the club, De Bruyne's got a long-term injury. If this isn't Foden's time at City, then a bit like what you were saying with Gabriel at Arsenal, his City career, what is his City career if he can't get that central, if he can't play a lot of game time now, with, like I just said, Mahrez leaving, Gundogan leaving, De Bruyne's injury, then when is he going to play? So
yeah.
I just think he's nailed on for a good chunk of minutes. Will he be subbed early occasionally? Maybe. It's Pep. Will he miss the occasional game? I hope not. I hope he starts all of the next 5, but yeah, we'll see. And as scary as it is transferring out Rashford before Forest at home, you could argue it's scarier going without Foden before Sheffield United away, who are a worse team
fixture, isn't it?
than Forest.
It's such a good fixture.
Sheffield United are definitely worse than Forest. So, and the other thing I've got to mention now is, like I said earlier, I think I'm a bit gutted that I'm going to avoid. Maybe I'm stupid. Brighton have scored 4 goals, 2 games on the trot, and I'm not bringing in March or Matoma. Maybe that's stupid, but I'm kind of hoping Obviously, Brighton are an amazing second side. I'm hoping those two plumbing fixtures have distorted that slightly. The fact that they played Luton at home, the fact they played Wolves away. I'm hoping they don't score 4 every week.
No.
With
The fixtures
Matoma and
do
March.
toughen up there after the
They
West Ham
do.
game, which is a harder fixture
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Newcastle United away, it is tougher.
Yeah, and then there's even Bournemouth away in a few weeks' time as well. So the fixtures on the whole, if you look at a 5 game week period, they're not ideal for Brighton. I do still think those boys, if you've got those boys in your team, I'd probably be willing to hold throughout that run, but I'm just not really willing to transfer them in. I would be more willing to transfer them in if Foden wasn't such an amazing prospect right now, because it feels like the perfect storm for Foden with everything going his way. If this isn't, like I said earlier, if this isn't Foden's time, I don't know when is. So I got burnt by Foden last year. I'm happy to, I think I'm going to go there again. And in a few weeks' time, when Pep just randomly plays Cole Palmer instead, we'll
imagine it's Cole Palmer's time.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't even surprise me at this point.
Yeah.
I think the thing is with the City team and with individual players, I think there's this maybe misconception that Pep rotates game by game, but in general he doesn't really. He tends to give players, especially attacking players, he tends to give them more just runs in the side rather than chop and change every game. We saw it with Grealish last season. He comes into the team and plays 90 minutes consistently for 10 plus games. Why could this not be Foden's time for that run to happen?
I agree with that. And if you look at I know Bernardo Silva was sick last game and he's probably back for this next game, but if you look at the City bench from the last Premier League game, it was pure youngsters. There was no threat to, which is why I don't think Pep made a single change. So there was no threat to Alvarez or Foden or whatever. There was no recognised big player. It's not like in the past where you've looked at their bench and you've seen Mahrez, you've seen De Bruyne sometimes on the bench, you've seen Foden there ready to come on.
It's very light, isn't it? Yeah, very light.
Their bench right now, the strength in depth is at a team like Arsenal. I'm actually probably more worried about the likes of, I'm not saying he will, so don't burn me in the comments for don't misquote me, but with Arsenal's depth, they're more likely to rotate the likes of Martinelli.
For sure.
If you look at Arsenal's bench, it's a lot stronger than City's bench as of right now, with the sales that they've had and with the De Bruyne long-term injury. And like I said, Bernardo picked up a sickness. If he's still not fully recovered, then Foden short term's definitely nailed. But like I said, how can this not be Foden's time now? Great performance against Newcastle. Fixtures are there. The competition for places is as light at City as it's ever been. So I want to squeeze Foden in, and the only way for me to really do that, I don't want to get rid of my Arsenal boys. I don't want to get rid of Mbeumo, who also has a great fixture run over the next 5, minus Newcastle away, but 4 out of the next 5 are great for Brentford, and Mbeumo's in great form as well. The only way I can fit Foden in is to take out a Man United midfielder. So and I think from what I've seen so far, I prefer Bruno's performances. I prefer what he's offering. Bruno's on penalties. Bruno's a bit cheaper. So the thing that worries me about Rashford is he's played up front for the first 2 games as the central striker. If Ten Hag learns his lesson and actually puts Rashford in his best position on the left wing, then he'll probably kill us. But what are we supposed to do? Just wait for Rashford to... The thing is, this is deja vu for me, because last season, I actually started with... Before Rashford was hot property, Rashford was almost a differential for me the first 2 games of the season. He had Brentford and Brighton.
Yeah.
United were obviously awful and blah, blah, blah. They then faced Liverpool in game week 3, and I had 2 free transfers saved. So I moved Rashford on with one of my transfers, and he got like a crazy high score against Liverpool, and then went on an okay run, and obviously later on the season did well. But it's one of those where, we're all talking Man United down. It was the same last season. 2 games in, they were looking awful. I had to get rid of Rashford, and he came up trumps against Liverpool. But I don't think you can play FPL like that with fear. I'm just not going to wait for Rashford to do so. After game week 1, people saying, you're going to get rid of the Man United assets. I said, no, I'm going to keep for Spurs away. I thought there'd be goals in it. There wasn't, but I thought it was an attacking game. And I also thought I'd keep them both for Forest at home. But since then, obviously, Foden's emerged as a really strong asset. I have 2 free transfers anyway. So Foden in for Rashford with one of my transfers. And then the second transfer will be maybe a Gabriel replacement like we spoke about earlier, or maybe up front, maybe a Watkins to a Nicholas Jackson.
Let's talk about Watkins now. Because there's been a lot of owners, I think, despite the fact that it's Burnley away, which on paper is a good fixture, are a little bit concerned. Playing obviously on Thursday night in the Conference League. Watkins
good point.
Decreased minutes against Everton the last game, which is one, a plum game. Everton at home, they did really well, 4 goals, but only 1 goal involvement, just an assist. Obviously now off penalties as well.
Yeah.
What do we think about him as an option? Perhaps he's one of those that you can leave for this game week. Your team maybe have more pressing concerns, the defender, and then if you want Foden in, obviously that might be a little bit higher on your wish list. But Watkins out, is that an option for you?
Absolutely, it's a viable option, and basically, just like you said, I might have other concerns in my midfield and my defense that I want to prioritize. So I won't be -4ing Watkins out to someone like Jackson, because I don't think the forward options are quite good enough. I do fancy Jackson ahead of this nice fixture run. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of desperate to hold on to Gabriel, because I would like to do Watkins to Jackson.
Yeah.
And Rashford to Foden, but I don't want to have to do 3 transfers for a -4. But I guess if that is the right course of action, I could do the -4. But yeah, as of right now, let's just forget Gabriel for a minute. If I was to use my second free transfer on any of my midfielders or forwards, it would probably be a Watkins to a Jackson. I want to give a shout out to Wissa
Yeah.
at Brentford, because I keep banging this drum to everyone, but Chelsea, Brentford, Man City. Look at the next 5. Really good fixture for those 3 teams. So we've got the likes of Chilwell and Gusto, Chelsea and Jackson. Maybe even I don't think you can fit him in because there's so many good midfielders, but Sterling was amazing against West Ham from a football point of view. FPL wise, I guess he was, creating chances as well and looking lively. But I don't
Won
think
a
I'll be
penalty.
squeezing him in. But of course. So that should have been obviously the assist if that gets converted. So we can't rule out Sterling, but like I said, I just don't think I can squeeze him in right now because I'm prioritising Foden. And out the foot, there's not that many good forward options in FPL in general. Watkins has got 2 assists in those first 2 game weeks. I feel relatively fortunate to get them. One was obviously for Diaby in the first game, which was sort of a weird sort of header on, but they all count. The other one, he obviously gets fouled for the penalty. So he's involved. He's not a must sell by any stretch of the imagination. If I have to use transfers elsewhere, I have to use transfers elsewhere. He is playing a newly promoted side. I believe he did pretty well away from home last season as well.
He did very well.
So he's not like a player who you need a home fixture. It's Burnley away, then it's Liverpool away, then it's Palace at home. And Liverpool are conceding goals as well. So, they're making mistakes at the back, aren't they? Bournemouth had a goal disallowed in the first few minutes and then they actually scored a proper goal as well. So there's no reason why Watkins can't punish me if I sell him as well. So he's one of those where if I don't fancy Gabriel for the start, it will be something like Rashford and Gabriel out and Watkins will just sort of survive by the skin of his teeth. But there's definitely merit jump to Wissa or Jackson because they have the great fixtures. Even Alvarez from City, like I keep saying, their fixtures are good. I think I trust Foden's minutes a little bit more than Alvarez, but like I keep saying, there's not that much competition for those attacking spots. Maybe when Bernardo Silva is back and the new signings in, maybe that is more of a concern for Alvarez's minutes. But he obviously produces the goods, doesn't he? If you look at his City career, it's something like, I haven't got the exact stats, but I think it's something like 15 goals in 20 starts or something like that. So when his like goal/assist ratio to minutes is really good. So when he's on the pitch, he's a great asset, Alvarez.
Super solid. I think that's the same for both Foden and Alvarez, to be fair. It's just a case of whether they're nailed on, and that comes down to your own opinion. Last player I want to ask you about in your team is Pickford, because he's had a terrible start to the season. Well, not him, but the Everton defence. He's probably not going to be a priority transfer out because, in general, we don't like spending transfers on goalkeepers, and the fixtures aren't awful. But what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I picked him at the start of the season for Everton's solid fixture run. Then Turner gets his move to Forest for 4.0. So for the minimum spend, really, Pickford and Turner combo meant you got a really good fixture each week for the 9 weeks. Everton was sort of unfortunate to concede to Fulham, fairly defensively solid in that one. But obviously you got battered by Villa, so it's a bit concerning. I just think I've got bigger fires to put out. If I was wildcarding, he'd probably be gone for, I was going to say Sanchez then, but I think Chelsea are in for a new keeper, so I'm not sure I would go there. But I might move him on, someone like an Edison just for a solid 6-pointer. But I think people are panicking a little bit too over the top. Let's say if I went for Alisson from the start of the season and just as a set and forget goalkeeper, he has basically, by rotating Pickford and Turner, they've both got 2 points each week. I think Alisson's maybe got 3 points each week, so wouldn't have gained that much more for the million extra spend. Onana was very fortunate to get a clean sheet in that first game as well. So I think it's been sort of unfortunate and it's sort of been inflated by people like Onana doing well. I kind of wish I went for Fleckham pre-season now. I got put off by Fleckham having a terrible pre-season himself, but obviously now the fixtures are good for Brentford and they've already got a clean sheet in the bag. But I think I'll stick with the rotation just for even if the teams they're playing for aren't the best. We know that Forest and Everton are going to be mid to low table, but they have easy fixtures. It's Wolves at home, then it's Sheffield United away for Everton. Then in week 5, I'll switch over to Turner for Burnley at home. So I just don't think I'll be, because of, like we said, the other issues that I've got or the other parts of my team I want to attack with the Foden move, with the maybe Jackson move, with maybe defender. A goalkeeper move right now, I just don't think it's right, especially before Wolves at home. And there's a chance Wolves have been taking a lot of shots and not scoring many. So hopefully that's a sign of save points plus a clean sheet for Pickford. But it's hard to describe what I mean. I'm not happy with Pickford. I'm not happy with my goalkeeper combination anymore, but despite picking out preseason, but I'm not panicking enough that I have to sell him, which for what will be essentially a -4, because even if I do this as a free transfer, I'm sure it will end up I'll have to use a transfer in my starting 11 anyway. So it will lead to -4 if that makes sense. indirectly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, mate. So that is your team. But the final thing we need to do is compare everything you've just said to the AI recommended transfers. I can now reveal what the transfers were. I'll give you some reasoning after this as to why I think the AI have recommended this, looking at the predicted points in particular. But the transfers were Gabriel out for Saliba and Bulldog out for Udogi. What do you think about those moves?
I can see where it's coming from. I think the AI is a very sensible model that looks to maximize points over the longer term, and it makes sense, especially as my bench defenders are weak. Well, my whole bench is weaker than I'd like it, actually. You know, last season we had the likes of Andreas Pereira and some other cheapos doing well on the bench, but right now my bench is cheap but not good. So yeah, they make sense completely. And also I think the algorithm would probably predict the likes of Rashford to score quite high, and therefore not worth a transfer to Foden. But I think I still want Foden. So
see, this is the thing. This is where it comes down to your own personal thoughts on how you play the game. Rashford predicted to score very well. He's actually got the second highest predicted points in your entire team right now. Yet he's a player that you think, based on your own perceptions of the first two games, just watching him, doesn't look great, and Foden could have the upside there, which is completely understandable. But from an algorithmic perspective, to sell somebody who's predicted to do very well obviously makes no sense when you're trying to accrue as many points as possible. The problem, as you said, it is, according to the predicted points here, your lack of cover on the bench. Right now, it's Kabore in defense even. Right now, it's Kabore who is starting for you with 2.1 predicted points, because looking at Gabriel, now we really don't have much to go on other than just our own intuition of predicted points and minutes. If you look at the first two games, you could say he's just a bench option now. Now, obviously, it's not as simple as that, but looking at the predicted points, we've got like 1.5 really for the next round of games, which although it's low, it makes sense based on what we've seen. I understand why the AI has gone that way. And with the Bulldog injury as well, that's where it wants to focus the transfers. Getting Udogi in for the good fixture run, and then Saliba as well, just an easy replacement for Gabriel, who we know is going to start. As you said, more solid, perhaps more boring, but definitely safer.
Very sensible. Yeah, they are sensible moves. It just means going without Foden and things like that. But
Watkins staying as well, no Jackson.
Yeah, again, that might be where I do focus my transfers. And because if I do Rashford to Foden, I've already got $1 million in the bank. That move will save me roughly $1.5 million, give or take price changes. So I'll have a good 2.5 in the bank. And I could even, like I said earlier, if we think Gabriel's got a chance of playing, put into sub one, transfer Bulldog out to pretty much any defender I want, even a Gusto from Chelsea to keep the bank, to keep the sort of price structure the same. And I'll just have Gabriel as a decent first sub. Well, decent if he starts. So yeah, it's food for thought. It's definitely sensible. And I think it's maybe, I'm not going to follow the algorithm exactly, but it's maybe made me focus in and think maybe it is a bit luxury to go Watkins and Rashford out for Foden and Jackson, and then really run the risk defensively.
Those are definitely upside picks. It's just, who knows? You may well have these same defensive issues next game week and still have to fix them. Whereas Rashford and Watkins are not major fires right now, you could argue.
Yeah, and they're not as such fires as much as the defense. The only thing I would say for the defense is Kabore is Luton, probably not going to keep many clean sheets. I get that, but he's an attacking fullback. We've only actually seen one game from Luton away against a really good Brighton side. They might have a double coming up sooner rather than later. Plus their fixture run after this week, I don't want to play Kabore away at Chelsea, but then it's West Ham home, Fulham away, Wolves home, Everton away. So Luton could try and make those games tight, maybe pick up a clean sheet, maybe pick up an attacking return. I'm not saying I'm going to start Kabore, but I'm saying that he might not be the worst first sub in the world. Although he's a 4.0 defender, he might score similarly to a 4.5, a couple of blank, the odd clean sheet maybe over the next 5 is possible. So I think longer term over the next 5, I don't think Kabore is the worst first sub in the world. And my bench will actually look a little bit better than it did last week, for example.
Well, there we go. That, I suppose, is the difference between, I don't really know how to phrase it, but just you yourself as an autonomous FPL manager wanting to chase upside and making sure you get as many points and attacking these fixtures as you can, compared to a more secure algorithm saying, hold on, Wes, you got some defensive issues here, mate. Let's sort these out. Yeah. Let's let Rashford and Watkins play against these, on paper, weaker sides, and they'll probably do all right anyway.
It's keeping me in check.
Yeah, it is. If you said you're not going to go with them, obviously completely fine. At the very least, it's made you think, well, do I need to go with those 2 moves? Perhaps go for one
Yeah.
and then roll that second one anyway, or use that on a defender. Who knows?
Yeah, I do. The defender suggested a good as well in terms of I do like Udogie. He's a
Yeah.
player I thought about using to strengthen my bench pre-season, and he looks attacking. I'm not sure about Spurs' clean sheet potential. I know they got one against Man United, but barely fortunate given the chances Man United squandered. It's suggesting Saliba in. I probably wouldn't go Saliba now just because I think there's a better fixture runs than Arsenal's defensively now for the next 5. Like I keep saying this, but Brentford, Chelsea, Man City is where I'd probably go. If we can trust a City defender, I put a question out on Twitter the other day, who's the most nailed City defender, with a screenshot of like 6 defenders or whatever. And the reply is all different names. It's completely, good luck. So maybe it's Guardiola, maybe it's a Kanji. John Stones is injured at least, so maybe there's some scope there. I do like the idea of getting into that City. For this fixture run, City should have a good chunk of clean sheets. But it's picking the right one, isn't it? At least with the algorithm suggesting Saliba, because the algorithm knows Saliba's nailed on.
That is the thing. Yeah, you either go for the... I think the thing with the City defence now with this run is that it is such a good run that you think if they do play... they're almost nailed on for the clean. Obviously, that's famous last words. But it's one of those where maybe you can take the benching, but then they might come on for the 1-pointer. It's tough. Yeah. Saliba, the fixture run isn't great. But there we go, Wes. Those are your recommended transfers. Very interesting to see what you do end up going with come the deadline. Obviously, your final team reveal will be posted on Fantasy Football Hub. Links to that down below as we get closer to Friday's deadline. And again, guys, if you want to get your own personal AI recommended transfers, the link for that is down below. Still 50% off at the time of recording this week. Be quick because it's not going to last forever. That is for sure. It's been extended by a little bit of time, but you know, it was meant to be just for pre-season. So you're getting lucky here if you haven't signed up already. Wes, thank you very much for your tips and advice. Good luck this game week. Good luck to all of you watching as well. And we'll see you with the next one.
Cheers, mate.